people, ALP 2000, right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Summit Kaiju and on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And I'm back again with another X Plus figure review. But you know what? I'm doing not one, but a double X Plus figure review in honor of a certain film and or kaiju celebrating a milestone anniversary this year. More on that later. So without further ado, let's dive headfirst into this awesome, super cool X Plus double figure review. And today we're taking a look at the X Plus 25cm Ric Exclusive Edition of the 1971 Gamera and the X Plus 25cm Standard Edition of Zigra, based off their iconic appearance, and I say iconic very loosely, based off their confrontational film in 1971's Gamera versus Zigra. And as you can see, I have the beautiful figures here in all their glory. Yes, they are beautiful. And once again, you know how we do things around here. Let's get up close and personal with the box before we get into the figure. And unfortunately, I don't have the boxes of either one. Because we've been through this, ladies and gentlemen. We've been through this before where I talk about, yeah, I'm running out of room of boxes, blah, 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 blah. The same rule still applies here. I get to the point that I am starting to trash my boxes, which has been really hard for me, ladies and gentlemen, because for the longest time, I have kept all my boxes. I really have, because I love the artwork on the boxes. Whether they have artwork or not, I tend to have kept the boxes, because I feel like the box is kind of like part of the figure. That's just my rationale for it anyway. But once again, I'm getting more figures coming down the pipeline, and like I said, I'd rather have room for a figure than a box. So that's why I don't have the packaging here, but I will give you an insert what the packaging looks like. Basically, both figures came in a brown window display type of packaging, very similar to the Toho Large Monster Series boxes. But you know, those boxes were red, white, and blue, whatever. But the Gamera, the Dai kaiju or figures, the 25cm version I'm talking about, came in a brown box with the window display with the description of the kaiju, the name of the kaiju in like the lower left hand or right hand corner, I believe. Nothing extravagant as far as the boxes. Like I said, no different than the Toho Large Monster Series boxes. But it was great packaging for its time. But once again, I had to get rid of it. Okay, let's go into the backstory involving these two figures. Well, actually, you know what? I actually covered Zigra like a long time ago during the early infancy of my channel. You can go back and watch it, but that was when I was really starting to get my feet wet, and I was learning the ropes on what I need to do to create, you know, the best content that I could, right? It wasn't the best in the world. I'll give you that warning if you choose to go back and watch it. But since this film, these kaiju, are celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, just like Godzilla's Hedra in my previous review of the Death of Real 71 Godzilla. That same year, we saw the release of Gamera vs. Zigra. So that's why I'm doing this double review today of these two figures. And once again, I got this figure way back in, I want to say 2015, but the figure was originally released, Zigra I'm talking about, in March of 2014, right? And they brought out his foe from this film, Gamera 1971, the year later in May of 2015. And I got Zigra through eBay, and I got his Gamera through another awesome collector. I want to give him a huge shout out and thank you for allowing me to grab this piece and add it to my collection, Ian Porter. So thank you very much for that. And once again, Zigra is the standard and Gamera is the Ric. Gamera comes with the small mini flying version of Gamera, which is really, really cool. Now, the Ric version of Zigra came with the mini shark version of Zigra. As you can see here, he's in his standing pose, but the mini Ric option to Zigra came with a small mini replica of his swimming shark form. You know what I'm saying? Which I wish I could have got that at some point, but still, I'm glad I got Gamera, you know, at least the Ric version of Gamera, so I'm still happy no matter what. And once again, this is the year of 2021. There are so many milestone kaiju properties that are celebrating milestones, I should say, milestone anniversaries in this year alone. Aside from Gamera vs. Zigra, Godzilla vs. Hedra, as I told you earlier, Gorgo is celebrating 60 years anniversary. Mothra 1961, she is celebrating the 60th anniversary this year. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. GMK is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. So there are a lot of anniversaries, kaiju milestone anniversaries celebrating this year alone. And I think out of all the kaiju properties that I just mentioned, I think Gamera vs. Zigra is the one that people probably have forgot about or overlooked. Even and I am a Gamera fan through and through, especially the Showa Gamera, quite frankly. But even I forgot about the fact that this film is celebrating 50 years. And I was thinking about it one day, and I was like, yeah, this film is celebrating 50 years. So even though a lot of people may have overlooked that or may not want to give it love, I'm going to give it some love because, like I said, I am a Showa Gamera fan or just a Gamera fan through and through. So that's the backstory of me getting these figures, and they are awesome. Yes, they are. So since I've already covered Zigra in my channel before, you know what? Let's start off with him. Let's start off with Zigra. Once again, this is the X Plus 25cm version of Zigra. Yes, the alien aquatic shark that has come down from another world to take over our oceans and to kill Gamera in the process. And as you can see, they have done a great job with this version of Zigra, with this figure of Zigra. Mostly Zigra is in a silver tone. You know, the silvers vary on his body, right? It gets like darker on his abdomen, on his fins or whatever. Then it gets lighter like on the crest of his head or like his back fins or whatever. Even his legs, there's like dark shading on his legs and light shading on his legs. So the silver paint application applied to Zigra, like I said, it varies on the figure itself in certain places. But the figure looks great paint-wise. You know, they've done a great job with the paint job of Zigra. The mouth is the teeth are individually sculpted. The mouth is colored really well. You had that little red beam right there on his nose. And that was the weapon that he used to really put Gamera on ice for a brief minute. Looks really, really good. You know, his eyes are awesome. You had that red pupil, the red eyes with the black pupil, looking real sinister, you know what I'm saying? Before Bruce the Shark from Jaws came out in 75, Zigra got the jump on him 4 years earlier, Let's see. Also, there is articulation with Zigra. You can actually move his fins back and forth. I'm gonna try and do it here so you can get a good idea, but not too much because you hear that sound, that crunch sound, the vinyl crunch sound. You obviously may do some damage if you force it a little bit, but his fins do move and can be articulate, whatever, to give him more of expression if you choose to get this figure. So that's great. And also, once again, he's in a standing pose. Now, I know a lot of folks who haven't seen this film are wondering, why is this shark standing up? And you have to watch the movie, quite frankly. But if you haven't, I'll give you a little spoiler here and there. When Gamera first come across Zigra, they fight under the water, right? Under the ocean. But Gamera chooses to bring him above the ocean and on land to try and fight him to give him the edge to take him out, right? But then there's a couple scenes where Zigra stands up, right? You could barely see it, like his legs or whatever, even though it's more prevalent here on the figure. But Zigra actually does stand up, and he is actually taller than Gamera. So actually, the size-wise between the two figures is actually accurate here. Zigra was the bigger monster, at least the taller monster of the two. So he stands up and goes toe-to-toe with Gamera, and like I said, he does put him on ice or make him become comatose for a brief minute during the movie. But I'm glad actually they chose this stand-in pose for the 25. Now, I wish they will go back to Zigra at some point, like they did with the 30cm Gauss. They brought out a 25cm Showa Gauss, right? Then they brought out the awesome, superior 30cm version, right? The same thing with Baragon. They brought out a 25cm Baragon, but they brought out the most awesome and superior 30cm version. So I hope maybe, before this year is out, in honor of the film's anniversary, hopefully they can give us a 30cm Zigra, and I wouldn't mind seeing him in the swimming pose. As I mentioned earlier with the Ric version of this figure, I would love to see a swimming 30cm version of Zigra, because despite how you feel about the film or whatever, whether you've seen it or not, this is a cool looking kaiju to add to your collection, and that's one thing I'm into. I love really bizarre but yet cool looking kaiju that commands a presence on your shelf. Zigra, Gigan, Hedra, Space Godzilla. Despite how I feel about, you know, some of the films or whatever, you can't deny that those kaiju in particular are cool looking kaiju, and you can definitely add Zigra onto the list. But they've done a great job with Zigra. Like I said, the paint job, the sculpt, you know, whatever. Don't want to go further into Zigra. Like I said, I covered him a long time ago. But once again, he is such a great figure to add to your collection, especially if you're a fan of the Showa Gamera films or the foes that Gamera fought in the Showa films. If you can track this one down for a good price, and that's also debatable, but if you can find one for a good price, and especially if you're a fan of this film, or if you like the monster and the figure of Zigra, please go out your way and try to find it. You will not be disappointed. Now, let's shift over to the other side, to the hero of the film, the protagonist of the film. Of course, I'm talking about the friend of all children, everybody's favorite, flying super turtle, fire-breathing super turtle at that, the 1971 version of Gamera. And Gamera looks great here too. You know, this is such an awesome figure of Gamera 1971. And just like Godzilla during the Showa period, Godzilla's look transitioned, you know, throughout the Showa period, because he first started off as a serious metaphor or a serious character. Then he evolved into a villain. Then he evolved into an anti-hero. Then he evolved into a father figure. Then he evolved into a superhero. So Godzilla's look reflected the character that he was performing during that particular time. And you kind of can say the same thing about Gamera. He looked really menacing in the first film, especially in Gamera vs. Baragon. But towards the middle half of the Showa Gamera film series, they started to change his look a little bit to make him less menacing, since they were pushing the kitty element hard, and he was the friend of all children. So I love how they gave him more of a playful look in this film, and in this figure, I should say. So they've done a great job with the paint job on Gamera. Pretty much the whole figure is somewhat of the same color, just the same shade of green, I should say, like a dark muted green a little bit. His shell is sculpted really well. That's one thing I love about Gamera, especially the Showa ones. They do a great job with his shell, whether it's this one, the 66, the 67 that they have done, and I hope they will go back to more Showa Gamera figures, as I'm talking about in the future. But this shell is no different. They've done a great job with this shell, with the plates on the shell kind of sticking out a little bit, and each of them look like they're individually sculpted. So that looks great. His tail is not too long. He's not Godzilla, so he doesn't have like a long tail that will accommodate so much space on your shelf. So that's a good thing. His toes are painted jet black, which is somewhat different, because his toes should be painted really no different than Godzilla's toes, you know, off bone white, dirty bone white color, whatever. But for this Gamera, they gave him more so of a blackish color, jet black on his toes, which I don't think was the case in the film. His toes were dark, but they were not jet black dark. So I think there was an artistic liberty that S Plus did for Gamera for us to figure here. The abdomen, you know, the plated abdomen looks really good. His claws are also like his toes. They're more so jet black, which once again, I don't think they were like that in the film. I haven't seen the film in a while, right? But I don't recall Gamera having those dark shade of jet black paint applications on the actual suit, on his claws and his toes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to revisit the film. I'm sure I will at some point, because I do have the Gamera Arrow Blu-ray set, which is awesome, by the way, and you need to get it. But either way, whether it's really an artistic liberty taken or not, whether it's suit accurate or not, it still looks great and doesn't really detract anything at all from the figure whatsoever. The face, playful Gamera, you know, you gotta love it. Even though his teeth are sharp and his eyes are bulging out real wide, you know, the pupils are yellow. Oh, excuse me, the eyes are yellow and you have like a black pupil, you know, whatever. You actually can see some veins in Gamera's eyes, which is great, which is another attention to detail that I love so much from S Plus. You see that like with the 84 figures, because you know the 84 has his veins and his eyes very prominent on that particular Godzilla design on that suit. And S Plus has replicated that in a couple of their figures, the 30cm and Sakai 84 I'm talking about. And they've done the same thing here with Gamera. It looks really good. The mouth is colored really well, just like Zigra. The teeth are individually sculpted, especially his tusk, his giant tusk. They're all of a yellow type of shading, like Gamera's been eating popcorn for the past 50 years. But either way, from top to bottom, sculpt-wise, from head to toe, this is a nice representation of the 71 Gamera. And as I mentioned earlier here, they are paired really well, almost perfectly, you know, as a matter of fact. The size between the two monsters, or at least the two figures here, is actually representative of what happened in the film. This is exactly what happened. Gamera was a little bit shorter than Zigra. Zigra was a little bit taller than Gamera. So they got actually the size accuracy right. Once again, the only thing I think is probably taken artistic wise, liberty wise with the either one of these figures. I think Zigra is perfect, like I said, but like I said, the dark jet black shading on Gamera's claws and his toes, I think, is not accurate to the film. Excuse me, to the film. But I think it's something that doesn't detract from the figure. So if you're able to find Gamera here for a good price, please do it. Please go for it and get them. Like I mentioned in my previous review of Death of Real Godzilla 1971, if you're gonna go for him, get Hedra. The same thing with these figures here. If you're gonna go for Zigra, try and find Gamera. If you're gonna go for Gamera, try and find Zigra, because they are perfectly matched with each other, and you create an awesome setup here. So that's pretty much it with both of the figures. Oh, I forgot about the Ric feature of Gamera. Yes, the Ric feature of Gamera comes with a small mini flying version of Gamera, and he looks great. Once again, I know when it comes to the Ric features of these figures, we are kind of like sick to death, or we like have grown increasingly fatigued of the light up features that they always go to when it comes to a certain S Plus figure release. And we actually love more so, at least I know I do, I actually love more so like the mini figures that come with a particular figure, you know, whether it's a mini version of the monster itself like Gamera, or a certain artifact from the actual movie, or you know, or whatever. And you can definitely add this one onto the list. It is a great figure, mini figure, and it's a great addition, Ric addition, that you know that you need to have in your collection, because I don't think they have done like a full in scale. No, they haven't. They haven't done a full in scale flying Gamera, and I hope they do at some point, because this little minifigure is awesome, and he goes great with other mini flying versions of monsters that S Plus done or has made Ric features out of, like the Rodan 56, the Flying Jet Jaguar, the Flying Varan, the Flying Mothra 1966, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And Gamera is really done really well here. And actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I think he flew like this throughout the entirety of the movie. Because normally when Gamera flies, he either flies like this, or he flies like a flying saucer, like we normally see him. You know, he touches his legs, his head, and his tail end, and he spins around like a flying saucer. But I don't think he did that one time during Gamera vs. Zigra. I think he did this Superman flying pose. So really, if that's the case, once again, I haven't gone back to the film in a while, but I think that's what happened. So if that's what happened, kudos to S Plus to once again going the extra mile to that attention to detail when it comes to not only the size of Gamera up against Zigra, but the little mini Ric feature here with the mini flying Gamera. So that's pretty much it with all I want to cover with both of these figures. They are amazing. They are awesome. Like I said, if you're a fan of this film, please try and track both these figures down. You will not be disappointed. Now, let's do a couple size comparisons before we go into my final thoughts of these figures and of Gamera vs. Zigra. And you know what? Since we talked about Godzilla vs. Hedra in my last review, and since both of these films are celebrating 50 years, milestone anniversaries this year, you know what? I'm going to pair Gamera off with Godzilla. I'm going to pair Zigra off with Hedra. So you know what? Let's start off with Zigra. So I'm going to bring up the 25 centimeter landing form of Hedra. Let's see how the two enemies from these two films square off against each other. And then we go into Godzilla and Gamera. So let's go with that first size comparison between the two enemies of the films right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the first size comparison, and yes, the two big baddies of 1971. Yes, the smog monster himself, Hedra from Godzilla vs. Hedra, and of course, one of the men of the hour, the main baddie from Zigra, Gamera vs. Zigra. Yes. And as you can see, they look really well together. They size well together. Once again, this is the landing stage form of Hedra. Of course, he would get bigger. We all know that. But basically, this size comparison, just comparison in general, is just to show you the villains from these two kaiju films from this year. Now, I know between the two films, Godzilla vs. Hedra probably gets the most attention. But let's not forget, once again, that Gamera vs. Zigra came out this year too. And Gamera vs. Zigra, even though Hedra, we all know, was an anti-pollution themed film, they try to push that a little bit in Zigra a little bit. It's not really heavily emphasized. It's maybe talked about maybe once or twice in the film. Whereas Hedra, you know, that whole film is about anti-pollution and stop polluting and blah, blah, blah. So there is somewhat more of a kinship, just a little bit, between these two monsters. And they did give their respective opponents, Godzilla and Gamera, a run for their money. So I think the comparison is appropriate here. But that's pretty much it. Didn't want to go really too far into the size comparison between these two. But as you can see, both monsters 25cm, both made by X Plus, both coming from films from 1971. Both are the big baddies of their respective films. So I think the size comparison works. And that's pretty much it with this first size comparison. So now let's bring up the monsters they fought in their respective films into the last size comparison. So let's go with that final size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison, and yeah, we compared Zigra and Hedra. So now it's time to compare the two monsters that oppose them in their respective films. Of course, we have the S Plus 25cm Man of the Hour Gamera in 1971. And I have the King of the Monsters. Yes, yes, yes. The X Plus 25cm King of the Monsters 1971 Godzilla. And as you can see, they look well together. Once again, both figures X Plus, both are 25cm, and both come from films that made their release in 1971. And of course, between the two monsters, I think Hedra gave Godzilla a more bad way to go, quite frankly. Of course, Zigra, injured Gamera too, but Zigra didn't do as much damage as Hedra did. But Gamera did get his share of punishment a little bit. But once again, such a great comparison between the two figures here, the two monsters. A fight that we all want to see at some point, but I don't know if we're going to see that or not. But really, there wasn't really much of a kinship outside from the fact with Zigra and Hedra, outside of the fact that they both come from films that came out in the same year, right? And they both were enemy monsters. That's pretty much it with the comparison or the association between the two. But there's more of more elaborate, I guess, kinship between Godzilla and Gamera. First and foremost, Gamera was made in response to the success that Godzilla was having during the 60s. So Gamera was made in response to that. And I think he's outgrown from being a Godzilla knockoff to being a full-fledged kaiju alternative. That if you're tired of Godzilla, Ultraman, or whatever, he's a nice kaiju avenue to go down if you want to see some great kaiju action. But I find it very ironic that, Gamera debuted in the 60s during Godzilla's heyday, right? And he made, a few films, whatever. But in 1970, they didn't make any Godzilla films at all. Gamera made a film. He went up against Jiger, right? So they brought Godzilla back in 1971, right? And that basically, with Godzilla vs. Hedra, it kicked off another era of films, the 70s films. Unfortunately for Gamera, this will be the last Gamera film for 9 years. At the time, the studio behind Gamera, Daiei Studios, was going through bankruptcy, from what I understand. And they didn't make another Gamera film for another 9 years. And they came back in 1980 with Gamera Super Monster, which pretty much spelled the end for the Showa Gamera series. And that's not an understatement. So I find it very ironic that really the 60s was the only time where Gamera and Godzilla had somewhat competing movies against each other. I'm sure competing is a strong word, but still, they had, two film series going on at the same time. But when the 70s rolled through, it's kind of ironic and funny that Gamera went away, and then Godzilla came back with another slew of films. Then we fast forward to 1995, right, where they killed off Godzilla and Destroyer, and then Gamera came back for his Heisei films. And then they drove Gamera away, or Gamera went away in 1999, and they brought Godzilla back that same year with Godzilla 2000, which kicked off the Millennium series. So I think that's very, very interesting that, that the only time we've seen these two make movies together or have competing movies is just during the 60s. But any other time, we see one come in and the other go away. But hopefully at some point we will get another Godzilla film, or at least a Gamera film, I should say. And hopefully that could lead to a Gamera versus Godzilla film. I mean, we got Godzilla vs. Kong, right? And we thought that would never happen, so never say never. But that's pretty much it with all the size comparisons I want to put with this video. And once again, Zigra and Hedra look great together. So do the monsters that they fought in their respective films, with Gamera here and Godzilla, the King of the Monsters, meets the friend of all children. So that's pretty much it with all the size comparisons I want to put in this video. So let's go with the final commentary portion of the video, and let's talk about Gamera vs. Zigra in honor of its 50th anniversary. So let's do that right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts of the X Plus 25cm Gamera 1971 Ric Exclusive Edition, as well as the opponent he fought in this film of Gamera vs. Zigra, the 25cm Standard Edition of Zigra. And once again, both these figures are amazing. Yes, they are. Like I said, the only thing that I think is taken just a little bit too far, or maybe artistic liberties were taken, quite frankly, is just the color on Gamera's claws and his toenails. But other than that, this is a solid representation of Gamera 1971 from X Plus, and it's the only one, quite frankly, until they make a 30cm, which I hope they do at some point, as well as Zigra here. As I mentioned earlier, I hope they make a 30cm swimming version of Zigra, because as we saw with the 30cm upgrades of this Showa Gauss and Baragon, oh my God! If they can apply that same treatment that they did to those two awesome figures to a Zigra, a swimming Zigra, yeah, sign me on board for that. But once again, these are great figures. And once again, if you're a fan of this film, or if you like this film, if you can try and get one, that's fine. If you can try and get both, that's even better. Now, let's talk about the film. Let's talk about Gamera vs. Zigra, 1971. And you know what? I'm gonna be real with y'all. This film really let me just preface this by saying this, ladies and gentlemen. This was at the point where the Gamera series was really pushing the kiddie element really hard. Where the kids, little kids, were the protagonists of the story. It was based around them. It was built around them. And that's what I say when it comes to the Showa Gamera films. I always say this, that if you want to get into Gamera, but you heard kind of mixed bag of reactions involving the Showa films, now you hear nothing but great things about the Heisei films. It's even the most jaded fan love the Heisei films on Gamera, right? But it's the Showa films that kind of get, or let's give people a little bit of pause, right? And I always say that if you're going to get into Gamera, start out with the first three. Start out with Gamera, Gamera vs. Baragon, and Gamera vs. Gauss. Then, if you can get through those, try and get through the rest of them. Because after Gauss, that's when they start to push the kiddie element really hard. And it can either make you or break you. It could draw you in and make you not care about it, or it can shut you out and not make you not want to deal with Gamera ever again. I am the former, where I actually, enjoy the Gamera films. The kids don't really bother me, quite frankly, even though I don't really go back to them as often. Like I said, I'm mostly frequent, really, Gamera vs. Baragon and Gauss, quite frankly. But I think the problem with Gamera vs. Zigra, that really during this time of the Showa Gamera films, the films really became very formulaic. Like, they really didn't stray away from the formula here. You know what I'm saying? Basically, most of the premise or how things would go in a Showa Gamera film when he started fighting monsters is this: an enemy evil monster shows up. Gamera comes in to fight it. The evil monster sidelines Gamera just for a little bit. Gamera gets revived somehow, and he comes back at the end to win the day. That's basically it. Not trying to say it's a bad thing, because let's face it, the Godzilla series, especially going towards the 70s, kind of did the same thing. When once again, an evil enemy monster shows up. Godzilla leaves Monster Island to come in to confront it. Godzilla fights it in a lengthy battle. Or maybe Godzilla gets sidelined for a while, but then at the end, Godzilla comes back to win the day. Basically, no different what Gamera went through during the Showa period. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I can understand how that can turn some people off. Really, the main reason why I love the Showa Gamera series, aside from the fact that they're somewhat like the Godzilla films, they offer the same type of action, right? But I really do enjoy the monsters that he fought in the Showa films. Whether it's Gauss, a giant vampire bat that can shoot lasers from his mouth, excuse me, or Baragon, a four-legged, creature that can use his tongue as a battering ram and use it to spew a freezing vapor that can freeze anything in sight, and it can shoot a powerful ray from his dorsal plates on his back, a rainbow death ray, or Virash, that squid-like creature from outer space that wants to come down and destroy the world, or Zigra here, an alien shark that comes down from another world to want to take over the Earth. So I really do enjoy the opponents that he fought. They weren't exactly carbon copies of Godzilla villains, which I really do appreciate. But I just felt that the execution on these films made them kind of like subpar to the Godzilla films. In a way, I can understand that people kind of bypass Gamera if you can watch Godzilla films, because to me, Gamera films in the Showa period, even though as much I love them, they're kind of like Godzilla films light edition, if that makes any sense, you know. So I can understand that people's like, why should I watch this when I can watch Godzilla that offer better entertainment? You know what I'm saying? But still, through it all, I think Gamera vs. Zigra is, you know, it's an okay film. I say if you want to watch it just for Zigra in a way, because Zigra is a cool kaiju. And even before he makes his kaiju appearance, the spaceship that he arrives in is really, really, really cool. Even though the film is formulaic, doesn't mean it makes it a bad film. Because I don't want to bash this film on its 50th anniversary. There's a little bit to love with Gamera vs. Zigra. At the same time, I can understand why some people would not want to go into it. But at the same time, in honor of the 50th anniversary, please check it out. Especially if you're a Gamera fan, especially if you have gone through the majority of the Gamera film series and have not got to this one yet, because you may have heard bad things about it. Maybe you owe it to yourself just to watch this film and the next film, unfortunately, Gamera Super Monster, and that way you can see the entirety of the Gamera Showa film series and show how Gamera evolved from what he has in the beginning to the awesome Heisei version into basically a kaiju alternative icon to Godzilla that he is today. But I recommend Gamera vs. Zigra. Please check it out if you can find the Arrow Blu-ray set that came out last year, or the separate box sets that they put out for the Showa series of Gamera and the Heisei. If you can track it down, that way you can get your hands and watch this film, please do so, because I think it's a fun film. Through it all, it's a fun film from beginning to end, and I think if you enjoy the rest of the Showa Gamera film series, more likely you enjoy this film. And that's all I have to say about that. Alright, so that pretty much concludes my double X Plus figure review of the X Plus 25cm Gamera 1971 Ric Edition and the X Plus 25cm Standard Edition of Zigra, based off their campy Showa 1971 kaiju epic flick, epic in quotation marks, Gamera vs. Zigra. You have any questions, hide me down in the comment section. Hit me on Facebook via Leslie Chambers, we'll definitely go from there. Yes, once again, great figures. As I mentioned earlier, if you can go for one, go for the other one, because they're both are awesome. As you can see here in the size comparisons, they are perfectly matched together. The sizes are perfectly accurate to the film. Zigra looks awesome. Gamera looks awesome. The Ric edition of Gamera looks awesome. And I'm sure the Ric edition of Zigra, the swimming shark version of Zigra, looks awesome too. But either way, if you're a fan of this film, or if you like Gamera, or if you want to dive into more Gamera collectibles, if you can find both of these figures or one of them for a good price, please check it out. You would check them out and go for it. You would not be disappointed. Once again, I'm having fun going through these milestone kaiju properties. You know, because I did Godzilla vs. Hedorah with the Death of Real 71 in the previous video. I'm doing Gamera vs. Zigra now. Now I can't wait to do Mothra 1961. I sure can't wait to do GMK and Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah at some point. And I know I would touch on them at some point. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm planning to do a live stream deep dive discussion in July to the anniversary month of Godzilla vs. Hedorah, so please stay tuned for that as we get closer to that. And once again, I want to do a deep dive discussion into GMK. You know that's coming. You already know that's coming. And I definitely want to do a deep dive discussion into Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. And at some point, for us collectible wise, I want to do a collectible video pertaining to the monsters or the figures that I have that come from kaiju properties celebrating milestone birthdays or anniversaries this year, so be on the lookout for that. But once again, there's so much content coming. You know, I have a few reviews already in the pipeline. I'm doing a Death for Real and 25cm Space Godzilla review. I just got word that the Death for Gamera 1996 will be shipping this week at the time of this recording. I got my hands on the 25cm Burning Godzilla 2019. I'm getting the upcoming Spiral Studios King Ghidorah 2019. There are so many things coming down the pipeline on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews that will keep you entertained for the foreseeable future. And thank you so much for riding with me thus far. If you thought we had fun before, we're gonna have even more fun now going into the future. Trust me when I say that. And in the meantime, get these figures. You would not be disappointed. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on the next figure and move review. All right, y'all take it easy and watch the turtle versus the shark. Take care, guys.